Now move forward again towards the well building until you are standing at the end of the exterior pool, facing the main facade. Remember that the view presented today is not how the building was originally intended to be seen. When first erected, the spot where you are standing would have been several feet below the present level in the bed of the river flowing directly out of the building below the central arch. Flights of stone steps on either side of the outflow led up into the well crypt. More or less where you are standing was a corn mill, and during the 17th century the outflow stream was channeled into a canal to direct the flow of water more efficiently. The canal was gradually deepened by raising the side walls, and by the end of the 18th century it had been further altered to create the pool you see today, which was needed at that period to accommodate the large numbers of people coming to bathe. If you look at the sides of the pool, you will see the varying strata of brick and stonework marking the successive stages in this development. Formerly, the pool and its surrounding courtyard were enclosed by wrought iron gates and railings. In 1862, the Hollywood Local Board was formed, and with almost its first breath, planned and subsequently erected the buildings you see to right and left of where you are standing, together with the Westminster Plunge Baths, which is now the entrance shop and exhibition hall. The tall building to your right was the new entrance to the well, and also provided accommodation for the custodians. To your left is the gatehouse, through which pilgrims and visitors entered the well precinct. And joining the two buildings was a high stone wall with an exterior stairway linking the two, the whole creating an enclosed courtyard around the pool. During remodeling of these buildings in 1985, the high wall was demolished, with the removal first of the brewery buildings in 1930, and then of the enclosure wall. The present view across the garden to the well comes as close as we can now get to the appearance of the shrine when it was first erected. The custodian's house has been converted into a small museum of the pilgrimage, with archive, library and research facilities on the top floor. If your visit to the well coincides with one of the times when the museum is open to the public, we recommend that you see it after your tour of the well. There is no additional charge for admission to the museum. Before the enclosing of the courtyard in 1865, there was little privacy for bathers. However, wooden changing cubicles were erected in 1875, and post holes in the courtyard walls show where they once stood. They were removed in 1963. Today we have 4 Crusader-type changing cubicles for the use of people bathing at the well. More than 20,000 people visit St. Winefrides Well annually. Not all of these, of course, come from motives of devotion, but many do, and of these, numbers are hoping for their restoration to health. Throughout the year, people still bathe in the holy well, and the tents have been specially designed for use by the handicapped. The traditional method is to pass 3 times through the small bath in the crypt, while saying a decade of the rosary, and then to come into the outer pool to finish one's prayers, kneeling or standing upon St. Bino's stone. This triple immersion has been part of the pilgrimage ritual since the early Middle Ages. Cures are still reported at the well today. The colourful changing tents can act as a reminder that when first erected, the well crypt was brightly painted and gilded, offering an appearance radically different to the scene presented today. For instance, the interior walls of the crypt were originally covered with paintings showing the legend of St. Winifred, which was still partially visible as late as 1800. The bare stonework seen today is essentially a product of the modern period. Now move forward again to the left of the pool and stop opposite the door of the gatehouse chapel. This was the entrance to the well courtyard until 1985, but has now been converted into a chapel for prayer, quiet and meditation. The former entrance has been closed up with a stained glass window showing Saints Winifred and Bino seated beside the spring. Visible from the doorway is a statue of the Virgin with the Laughing Child, copied from an original by Antonio Rossellino, made about 1465, which is now in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. You might like to visit the chapel following the completion of your guided tour, to sit for a few moments of rest and reflection. To the right of the chapel door is a hand pump which draws water directly from the spring in the well crypt. People regularly take the water home or have it sent to them, and many cures have been reported from around the world from its use. Special water bottles are available for sale in the entrance shop, but there is, of course, no charge for the water itself. Now move forward again to stand by the steps down into the pool. As you go, notice the delightful friezes of animals decorating the facade of the well building. At the steps, notice in particular the large stone on the bottom of the pool to the right of the steps. This is Mine Bino, St. Bino's stone, the oldest thing surviving at the shrine, and the only thing now here which would be recognized by Winifred and Bino. Before the construction of the present shrine, it lay in the stream, flowing from the spring. The stone has its own stories recorded in the medieval lives of the saints, which tell us, for example, that it was upon this stone in the stream that Bino used to kneel to pray, such watery penances being typical of the Celtic saints of his era. Most appealing is the story which tells how, after Bino had left Holywell, Winifred would send him a yearly present of a cloak which she had woven for him. She placed the cloak on the stone, which then floated down the stream to the sea and along the coast of North Wales, until it reached Bino at Clonagfawr in Carnarvonshire, safe and dry, after which the stone returned to Holywell the way it had come. Because the cloak arrived at Clonagh dry, and because, as tradition relates, whenever Bino wore it, he never got wet in the rain, the saying was known to the medieval Welsh as Bino Casal Sich, that is, Bino of the dry cloak. For centuries, bathers at the well have imitated Bino and concluded their prayers kneeling on the stone in the water, a pious practice which has thus continued unbroken from the 7th century until today.